Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode 268 of the On Air Advocate. Where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I am super excited if you are here this afternoon joining us live or whether you are catching this on the replay. Now, as always, if you think any of the content that we could be talking about today could be relevant for anyone in your network or your circle, please hit the share button and share the love with others. Well, if you guys have been watching us this first week, a full week of April, it is our Spotlight Week. And this week we are spotlighting Autism Acceptance and Awareness Month. And with that, I am bringing back some of my favorites. They are here today and I'm excited. Today I have with me Jackie Dorshorst. She is an RPM provider, owner of RPM Plus for Autism. I also have with me Cindy Schultz. She is the co-founder, founder, president, all those different titles for Autism Solution Pieces. And she is also Gavin's mom. And then we have Gavin Schultz. He is a student of Jackie's. Welcome, Gavin.
Hi.
I know I'm a little have you guys back. And today we are talking all things RPM, and that's just about RPM as a whole, but then also we're going to talk a little bit about how that served others in the pandemic and growth that we've made since our last episodes that we have done. So I wanted to welcome you guys to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Yes.
We totally appreciate this, especially in the month of April. You know, there's lots of work to do, so we're always striving to help more people, right? Cindy's really integral in that part, and Gavin as well. So we just wanted to do an overview, first of all, of what is RPM as a tool in your toolbox if you choose to try RPM, and just talk a little bit about what it is. I'm working with Cindy and Gavin since 2012, right?
Yeah.
And seen so much growth, and they work really hard. And oh, there he is. Gavin's gonna go. There he is. Now let's see if we can all get fit on here.
And just so you guys know, below this live, we're going to drop the other segments we did a few years back with Gavin and with Jackie. We did the whole process of RPM, which is short for Rapid Prompting Method. And so if you want to go step by step, we're going to reference back to that video. As well, some other videos that I did with Cindy and Jackie in between that time. We'll drop those below for easier reference. But today, Jackie, where are you going to kind of start us out? For those that are maybe new viewers, haven't caught the old one, don't even know what rapid prompting RPM means.
Yes. So I am a speech pathologist, and I worked in the schools for a long, long time. And I was always looking for a way, because I could tell students with autism were really, really smart. And a lot of them were showing me in different ways, but I didn't know how to get what was here out, whether it was through, in any form of communication that was consistent. So RPM actually, once I found it, it really helped me help other people. And so I'm just going to kind of give an overview of what it is. And it's very effective. It does take a lot of work, right, on everybody's part to implement it, and it takes consistency. So just a little overview, what is rapid prompting method? It is an academic teaching method that can lead to communication. So I say that can or may. There are many people who use it as a communication tool. It takes a while, to be able to do that in some cases. And depending on the motor skills that people have, attending skills, sometimes some people get there quicker than others. So we say it can lead to communication. And it gives the student a mode of response. That was the piece when I was working in the schools that I didn't know, what would their response be? So you start out with a lesson and you have a topic and you teach, 2 or 3 sentences, and then you ask a question. So it's teach, ask, and it's like a conversation. You want to make it interesting, right? You don't want to just read from the book. You can put it in your own words. It's very reciprocal. So it's like you're having a little conversation. And at first, whether somebody, maybe somebody has never done this before, you give, for the answer, you can give word choices written out. So did I say this or did I say this? And then you see, can that student pick an answer? If they can, wonderful. If they can't, then we teach them how to do that. So you start out just with word choices and you don't even have a letter board in the very beginning. And then as they progress, you can introduce the letter boards. And at first, to answer, we might say, okay, you chose the word tree. Let's spell tree to see, do they have the skill of spelling? Some people do and some people don't, or we're not sure sometimes because of the motor skill impact or,
Right.
Attending skills or things like that. So then we start out with, so if I was going to spell tree, I'd present this, with the T and then the R and see how they respond.
Okay.
So we use stencils in the beginning, and it gives the student, like feedback, so they can poke through the letters and they can feel that. And so they, if they aren't spelling in the beginning, we teach them how to go about doing that. And then program, like these, to maybe a stencil like this. And then after that, we may progress to a board like this.
So you're going from larger size to smaller size?
Yeah, and more letters, more choices. So you start out with, maybe 8 or 9 on a stencil, and then you gradually make your way to the 26. If you start here, some people can, if they're very focused and have good motor skills, some people can start on a board like this. For the most part, we start back here and then work our way, okay? Due to attending, motor skills, lots of different things. For people who, once in a while I run into, and these are usually black, I made these green just because for visual, somebody who is visual. But some people have a hard time with the stencils. So then we do, if that's the case, I use this little flip board, so it's broken down into the same sorts of groups of letters, like that. And this is all what on the previous interview that we did with Tammy, that Gavin so graciously helped show each step of the way.
Right.
So that is a very thorough, if you need help and you're not close to a provider or you want to try it on your own, that is very helpful, I think, to go through that.
If I can interject for 1 second, Cindy, what would you say the amount of work outside of Jackie, that Gavin works on with Jackie, with the RPM, that you also follow through at home of working on?
Well, I did homeschool him for middle school and high school, so that definitely helped because he just took off. But I would say, if you could practice with your child every day a little bit, and don't get caught up on a lesson, if you don't have time for that, just like I told Jackie the other day, I sort of fly by the seat of my pants half the time, but you find that teachable moment that you think, oh, he could really learn from this, and then go with it, and talk a little bit about it and then ask questions if they're communicative. But if not, find something that they're interested in and then read about it, read 1 or 2 sentences, then ask a question about it, So the rocket flew to the moon. Where did it fly? And then see if he could answer MOON, Great. Yeah.
That's a good starting point. And have Gavin see in a little bit if you want to add something here.
Yeah.
So it's very helpful I always say I don't want to be the only one doing it with the student. It would be great if the support, whoever's supporting him, it could be at a school. Some schools are doing it. It could be, in the home. It could be, at a day program, wherever the student is. It's great if are open to learning it. So it's just helpful to have it all around. Now, RPM isn't only the letterboard. Soma's really, really been working a lot. Soma Mukhopadhyay it's her method. And she's always working on what's the next thing to be able to help people. So she has used a lot of the principles of RPM to work on things like self-help skills, leisure skills. She's doing more of this since our last taping or interview. Typing, we work more on speech if someone wants to work on speech and writing and those kinds of things. So it's like an all-encompassing method. She's worked really hard on that. So hey Gav, do you want to add something here? Do you want to say a little bit while I get the brightness up?
Well, and how has it evolved, Cindy? Obviously, Gavin, what age did he start this at?
He met and saw Soma at the age of 9. So, but then there was like no one or very few people that understood it real well or were, really good and trained, by her. So we just sort of had to go with, whoever we could find until Jackie came into our life. And we had Erica Anderson from Green Bay. So we are so super blessed to have 2 really high quality, well-trained RPM providers in the state of Wisconsin. A lot of states don't have any, and we have 2. So that's great. And so then, and he, like I said, after a while and just keep practicing and doing it, he took off and got it. And he says everybody's in there and they need to get out. And if you don't take the time, they're just sitting in silence, and that's so sad.
And I started to say before, but I really want to clearly state that people with autism, it's not that they're not intelligent. They are intelligent. They need a motive response. They need a way to get out of their brain, what they're thinking. And this is one way to definitely be able to do that. So Gavin, do you have anything you want to say right now?
Y-E-S. Yes. I-T. It. T-A-K-E-S. Takes. T-O-I-M-E.
Should show. I'm holding the iPad. He's working on holding it himself, but right now we'll have him hold it. Okay.
Time. B-U-T. But. I-T-S. It's. W-O-R. T-H. Worth. I-T. Yes, it takes time, but it's worth it.
Yeah. So Gavin has made progress. Do you want to talk about what you see at home? Because he's been doing some really cool things.
Right. Yeah. Like Jackie says, the more people that get involved in learning how to use a letterboard of any kind, shape, whatever, and have them with you wherever you go. Like my purse is full, probably 2 of these are in my purse right now, just in case one falls out or something like that. But have it with you, because if you don't have their voice, with you, how can you get them to talk, and if they don't have a device like Gavin carries around with him always. But Gavin recently just, grabbed this quick and brought it to his dad, because now together we did a lesson with him. Normally I'm always doing everything. And, Randy says, well, I'll read it and then we'll ask him questions. I'm like, yes, So then now he's been taking the letterboard or his iPad and then spelling more to his dad, because he took the time. And like he just said, you have to take that time.
Right.
And, and maybe not every day, they initiate this, but, the thing is, when they do, then take that time and be there for them and try to talk to them. And he spelled what he wanted his dad to do, and his dad did it then. And, so
that was a big moment.
Really big. It was just like, I was like, oh my, and of course I posted it. Yeah.
And something I want to just make aware for people who might be new, this is years of work.
Yes.
That went into this. You start out with the lessons, with a teach and a ask, and you gradually make your way to the open-ended with, either watching the video. I highly suggest reaching out to a provider who can guide you, and it may not need to be every week or whatever, but, just get some help and guidance from people. And it's so, like Gavin said, it's so worth it in the end, but it does take time to get to the point where Gavin is at.
And Cindy and Gavin, you both starting this journey with RPM, when Gavin was 9. How old is Gavin now? I know he's almost same age.
He will be 23 May 3rd. So and my big goal now is like, okay, he's getting older, which means I'm getting older, and who is going to be there for him to keep him communicating, like our daughter, worked with him, or just, he'll say things to our daughter, which is wonderful, because, she wants to care for him, in later years and things like that, if that's what he chooses to do. It is his life. He might want to end up going someplace else and being with his own group of people or something, and something we have to but whatever's going to be best for him in the future. So we try to get together with a lot of different people. He went yesterday with his day group, and Connie, who's in charge of that, she said, oh, he answered several things for me at the fire station. And then I asked Randy, of course, and he goes, yeah, he did really well, because I didn't go, because I'm like, he's got to do stuff with, other people and out in the public. And so he did, really well, she said. So,
And with what he's working on, Gavin, do you want to tell people what you're working on? What's your big thing you're working on with your iPad that you're doing so well with?
H O L D I
Show.
N G holding.
Yep. So he's working on holding it himself to be more independent. So right now it's easier as we hold it, but he's learning how to hold it. So he sometimes grabs it and is very appropriate with what comes out. And then there are other times when, he needs a little more guidance. So, but he's doing really well. There's lots of different steps, and people can choose at the point that Gavin's at. What would you like to do? Do you want to use an iPad? Do you want on a keyboard? Would you like to stay? Some people are comfortable staying here and holding the board themselves as well. So it doesn't always have to be a device. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then it's really important, like you guys were saying, to know that this happens gradually over the years. And when Gavin, when he started, he was at the point of the larger letters and someone guiding his lessons, right? I mean, obviously you were that person, and the other woman, what is her name again in Green Bay?
Erica Anderson. She has ACE Teaching and Consulting in Green Bay. And she did a 3-year apprenticeship with Soma. And so she was the the very first person who was trained by Soma. And then I came in a little bit later and met Cindy and Gavin in 2012. So they were already doing RPM for a while,
Right.
you know, when I started.
But even with Erica, you know, it was like she lived in Green Bay, we lived down here. So like once a month we met with her. You know, she came to, I think, Waukesha,
Yeah.
and we would meet there. And she would get him to say things, and I would just like, you know, or whatever. So it was like, I knew in my heart, you know, I can't wait a whole other month to hear what he knows and what, you know, so I would just start, you know, and he would not sit like this, you know, they were following him around and he was like all over. And even to this day, you know, there are some days where, you know, I don't really have to follow him too much, but you know, he sometimes have to stand up a lot of times. And if I'm, you know, I'm like, oh, make up your mind then. Are you gonna sit? You're gonna, you know, or whatever, or stand or sit. But then he'll come because he knows he wants to learn and be able to share what he knows.
Yeah, the academic piece is important because we want to feed the brain new information so that they do have more to talk about, you know, about the world around them. And if they see something, they can comment and, oh, I learned, you know, maybe recall some things that they've learned in some of the lessons and whatnot. So.
I was telling Jackie that we were reading the Laura Ingalls Wilder books. We're almost done. We only have one more to read of the whole series. Okay. And because Mary is blind, Laura explains really well to her so that, you know, Laura's eyes are, you know, Mary's eyes, and then she knows what she's talking about. And I said to Gavin, I showed him the flowers on the table. And I said, now, if Mom was blind, how would you explain that vase with flowers in? And I'll maybe put that in the link below too later, because I haven't shared that yet, but I read it. I showed her the picture. I read what he wrote and she's like, wow, that is awesome. You know, and you know, I truly believe that almost everyone could get here. I truly do. If you take the time to do it. Am I wrong? You know, people say, oh, I wish my child could do that. They can.
Right.
They can.
Yeah. It takes,
you know,
it takes work, but
patience, and a little bit of time every day.
Right. Working at it. Because I think sometimes as parents that are, you know, in the world of being a special needs parent or caring for someone with different chronic illnesses or whatever, you sometimes get so overwhelmed, you know, with so many things. And so like you were saying, Cindy, that even if it's only that 15 minutes a day or that 10 minutes, that consistency. And it's so interesting because in everything in life, we know that that's what works, right? If we're consistent at what we do, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Eventually, it starts to work, right? If we are consistent with the things.
Yeah, the consistency is key. I just wanted to just say one more thing about who this can help, because helps people who obviously are nonverbal. People who have some words, maybe they have movie talk or, you know, some stimming that they're talking. It helps people like that. It helps people who have some limited conversation as well. I like to think of it for people who are, you know, talking some, it's like a really good word finding tool. You put it in front of them and they might not be able to say the word, but then they can spell it out loud and then they can say it after if they have, you know, that ability. So it works with a variety, not just, you know, people who are nonverbal.
Right. And now where things really changed a ton, right, for everybody was the pandemic came. And I know me and Cindy did an interview during that time, both of us crying by the end of it, you know, being in this space. But I feel like so many of our therapies and things we had to do had to evolve. And so what have you guys seen during the pandemic? How has this changed for RPM, students doing different types of therapies and whatnot to really help them still grow?
Yeah. Gavin, do you want to tell what you did during the pandemic when everything shut down? What did we do?
ZOOM. Zoom.
We did.
WAS. K E Y. Zoom was key.
Oh, Zoom was
was
key.
key.
That's all we had.
now the thing about it was I wasn't sure because I hadn't done that before, right? It's kind of like, well, let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority, I can't say it was, a real big success for everybody because it's really different. But the majority of the students were able to do it. And I was pleasantly surprised because I thought, I don't know, how can I help families? And what I
Right.
saw during that time was a lot of progress with the parents because I wasn't there to jump in and, they were, at their house, I was at
Yes,
mine.
yes.
And
Yeah.
it worked really well, so well that I'm doing a lot of Zooms now. So people who aren't able to come in or
Yeah.
maybe aren't comfortable coming in yet, I'm doing Zoom with them. I'm even doing Zoom with quite a few new families who just are reaching out, whether they're in a different state or different country. Sometimes I worked with somebody from Ireland. So it's a really, really great, that's one of the great things that came out, of the pandemic, as hard as it was, to show us that it can be a good tool.
Possible.
It
It's
was, and other platforms too, not just Zoom, other people use other ones, but yeah, it really worked well. Mhm.
And what type of other resources are out there around RPM? So if a parent was working with you or they're listening to this and they just want to learn more about it, is there resourceful tools? I know that it is always best to have someone guide you who knows the system, who has been trained. But in those kind of investigative states, I feel like all of us in this space of parents, we investigate everything. And investigating and learning about it and the theories behind it. Are there resources to be able to do that?
Yes. Soma, first of all, Soma has a wonderful website. If you go up, we can drop that below too. If you go to her website, you can learn a lot about it. And there's also, and Soma's involved in this too, Unlocking Voices is a really great resource. It's on Facebook. It's a Facebook group and it's private, so you will have to, be added to it. But Sue Finesse from England and Soma have worked really hard to make it a great platform for anybody. So if you've been doing it for a while, there are a lot of resources. If you're just starting, there's a lot of resources. They have videos back in the file section that you can go and watch and try it yourself, So that's a really great place. And people, even if you have a question, you can post it on there. And there are so many people, answering, helping. A lot of the providers are on there as well. So it's really great. And Sue has a son with autism. So she's firsthand, she knows how to help people. Yeah. She's amazing.
And Soma's got a lot of great books. And what I've always enjoyed doing too with Gavin is purchasing books that have been written by them. And then you read, autism, and then you read it to them, with them, and then has that happened to you, or do you feel like that, and that's where you really, we really got a lot of great information from Gavin. I was like, oh I feel that way, or this, that, or the other thing, and it's just like unreal that because then they're seeing that, oh, I'm not the only one. This guy feels this way, and like he's got like pen pals that are on the spectrum, and then they'll write back and forth and ask questions and, and things like that and send different stuff. So it's really cool.
Yeah. So I would say, I'm trying to think of other resources. Cindy's a great resource. She's got autism solution pieces and has helped a lot of people that way. So there are different ways. Soma's books are a really good source too, because she
even Zoomed last year. I was in 2 Zooms. I did Zooms for parents too. It was just like there's so much out there. You just got to take the time to do it, and then to pay attention and write things down, and just Google, like Gavin himself has done so many different videos, and watch other people doing it with Soma, or with, if they're on.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to be careful about Googling and what
it
might
not
come up, but
right,
but however,
True RPM.
if you join Unlocking Voices and Soma, she's been doing Zoom presentations, like she might teach about motor skills and how to work on motor skills, or different things about RPM. I offered like a beginner during the pandemic. I was doing more of it, but if you want to begin, come here on this date. And a lot of people attended these, because a lot of people. And then I did okay, now you've started, now how do you keep going, kind of thing. And
Right.
so we do a lot.
Do you want to say
of
anything
things
about
like
that,
that?
Gab?
Yeah. Do you want to say anything, Gab?
HOPE, hope, MORE, more,
Excuse me.
FAMILIES, families, START, hope more families start.
Sorry, I have to walk away. I have to cough.
Oh, okay.
I have something went down the wrong way. I'll be right back.
I was going to say,
What, coughing is a very different thing now in the year 2021, isn't it?
yeah, I know. It's like, okay.
Like you're in the store or you're somewhere and you feel like
quickly,
like you no longer can cough normal, or do those things. So Cindy, when we're done, any of the resources that Gavin loves, you love, can you drop that below?
Sure. That wouldn't be a problem.
For us in the comments in this Facebook area, just so that parents have easy access to it.
Right. Is there anything else that you like to tell people?
It.
It's what?
HAS, has, BEEN, been, ALIFE, life, SAVER, savor, FOR, for, ME. It has been a lifesaver for me.
It has been a lifesaver for me.
Okay, I'm better.
Yes.
That was went down the wrong pipe.
Well, and I know that Gavin, I don't know if he wants to say anything to it. I mean, he started his own Facebook page, right? The last time that we talked, and doing his own thing with writing and all of that.
Right. Yeah. He has his own, which is the Hopeful One. And, I think everybody knows he's been writing so many wonderful things all these years, and Mommy just needs to find somebody that can help me self-publish
Together.
They need to make those into books.
Yeah, we have to get things and put them in books, right, Gab? Because that's what you want. I just met somebody the other day that said, "Does he have his book out yet?" I'm like, no, but we're hopeful. Yeah, we're hopeful. And he started making cards, so we have cards available, and he's asked to speak at different events and different things, so we do that. But yeah, he has his own Facebook group called The Hopeful One, and he'll post different things that he writes, and over Easter he wrote some really beautiful things again and stuff. But
wants to say about that?
What do you want to say about that?
THE T H O U G H T S thoughts A R E R I N N M Y my M I N D mind W A I T I N G waiting T O 2 G E T get O U T the thoughts are I'm waiting to get out.
So, Gavin, I didn't even show you, but I saw Ito. Ito writes books. Really, what is that?
There's a book called Ito in Autism Land, and it's a very eye-opening book for anybody who's beginning.
Yes, and Gavin, was writing like you just typed, and it was just propped up like this without his mom holding it. So that's, everything is a step, and he has an easel, sort of an easily type board at home that when I homeschool him, he works on, and he let me sometimes allow it slowly down, but he always still wants me to hold it, or
that's why we're working on him.
So then you hold it and you continue to spell it, so so is there anything else that you can maybe start spelling and then finish by yourself? Wouldn't that be great?
I C A N can T R Y I can try.
Okay, so what should we ask you? What do you want to tell?
Well, he did it before when he was with me. But
so what do you?
Let's see. You do
start talking about something that you think the world needs to know.
You can do it with your mom,
and then see if you can finish a word.
This is what I love.
Or even use your voice. Oh, we love to hear your voice. We were at a friend's house that we hadn't seen in a while. She used to be a therapist for him. And, her and I are, talking, and then we were getting ready to leave. And then he didn't spell it on here. You said it. You said, and take a walk by the back, take a walk by the back. And she was like, he talked. I said, oh yeah, he wants to go take a walk by the back, which is a shorter little way that we go when we go home. Right. So there's Rusty. There's our dog, Rusty.
Oh, cutest.
Here.
So what do you want to tell the world? And then maybe you can finish a word or two.
T H I S this W O R L D world N E E D S needs T O 2 H E A R here O U R R V.
Okay. You finish the rest of that word. V then. Yep. O then.
Yep.
I C E S.
Good.
Voices. This world needs to hear our voices.
That's right. They do need to hear our voices, your voices.
That's what the next forget is to be holding it. So he's working really hard, as you can see,
at doing that. And just even sitting here today, and if you watch those back videos, just to see that progress. But the main thing is patience and time, right?
Exactly.
Also along to parents is that it takes a lot of time to achieve these things, but how great that is
Yes.
Yeah.
And he says time and time again, it's like, don't let them sit in silence, and a lady called me, I don't know, 10 o'clock the other night, it was, one of those, oops, kind of a dials. And then we talked for probably half hour, and Gavin was spelling things to her, and stuff. And her son was in the car, and she's like, oh, because it's so emotional for these parents to hear what he is saying to them,
right,
for their child, and stuff, because he wants all this for everybody. He says that RPM needs to be shouted from the rooftops, and that everyone should try this, because it's a great opportunity to have a voice, isn't it, Gavin?
And I like it too. It's not an exclusive method, so it's not the only thing. You can do it alongside of other therapies and other things that you're using that work. So it can be one of the tools. But thank you for having us. This is amazing.
Is there anything else we wanted to touch on before we
before we close? Is there anything else? I know I had talked to Cindy while you were away for a moment, and any of the great resources that you guys have to add into people's toolboxes, if you can drop those below, easy links for them to find things, that will be great. But anything else?
Some of the names of the books, I think, would be helpful. Some of the books that are helpful to read.
Like The Reason I Jump is such a good one. We have had so many, and then I borrow them to people, and then I don't get them back, and then it's like, or I've bought another and then give it to somebody else, because they're just amazing. And that's why I think even once he finally gets one all written, we'll be doing the same. So
definitely. But I thank you guys for coming here this afternoon, sharing with us again. We will drop those other videos below. You guys will drop the resources. I'll add them to the top of the text, so that hopefully it's super easy for people to learn more. And this is just, again, another tool that you can add to your toolbox of different, strategies, concepts, things to try, and know that everything in that toolbox takes time, right?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And works a little differently for everybody.
Yes, that's the thing. It can. Well,
yes. So
much for being an advocate for everyone. We love you. You're amazing.
Helping us get the word out.
Yes, and I am excited. Is there anything that I should know, though, and before we close up, any events or things that are going on? I mean, I know we're still kind of pandemic-ish happening here, in Wisconsin or other states for Autism Acceptance and Awareness Month.
Oh, I'm trying to think of
anything that you guys are involved in that you just wanted to, like, any walks or did those happen other times of the year? I'm not sure.
There used to be more events, but I think because of the pandemic, they're either pushed off or they're not scheduled right now. But if we hear of any, I'll kind of look at that, and we can drop those in the links below too.
Okay.
I know there's a bowling event in May. Good Friend Incorporated with Denise and Chelsea. They're doing a bowling event. They might have a few lanes open if anybody wants to go ahead and join that. Other than that, I'm trying to think of any other that's it that I know of. I'm sure there's something, but so we'll investigate that a little bit.
All right, wonderful. And if anybody is catching this, we're doing it now or catching it on the replay, and you're in another state and there's something awesome going on for Autism Acceptance and Awareness Month, drop it below. We'd love to know what other things are happening around the U.S. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Gavin.
Can you say goodbye, Gavin?
It's hard to find him on this thing. There he is.
There we go.
There.
Gavin, thank you so much for sharing today.
Okay.
Thanks.
Said goodbye.
Thank you. And thank you, Jackie and Cindy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, thank you guys for viewing this afternoon. If you'd like to know any more about the On Air Advocate and the resources that we have to offer, you can head on over to onairadvocate.com and find all of them right there. So with that, everybody have a very blessed weekend and happy Friday. Bye-bye, guys.